and the news headline has come out that just wanted to drop this quick video here. I want to talk about this Bitshares news that's happening. It's in the portfolio. We've been tracking Bitshares for a while, and the news headline has come out that Bitshares has been delisted from Bittrex. So Bittrex is no longer going to list that. Now, whenever a new exchange picks up a coin, it's usually a good thing. That means more market adoption and the prices go up. Unfortunately, the opposite could be true, that when a exchange delists a coin, then the price of the coin can plummet as well. And unfortunately, that's what's happened with this coin. We've seen almost $55 million of value lost today. It's down about 20%. And we're actually down on this since we entered at about 50-60% down. So not a good thing. However, I've told you many times that the key to surviving through the volatility, the key to being able to hold your position as the prices go up and down, is to really understand it, and to really understand what you invested into and what the future holds. And that's what allows you to have that conviction to hold on. So with Bitshares, we haven't really done a full write-up about it. We haven't talked in depth as to what it's about, and so I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. And so what Bitshares is doing is something that is really, really needed inside this space. And what they're doing is, it's a decentralized exchange. And I'm going to plug in my speaker here. Maybe you guys can hear me a little bit better. So hopefully that's better. So Bitshares is a decentralized exchange. And so what that means is that there's no central point of failure. So like with what Bitcoin was designed to be is a decentralized money, and that's what the blockchain does, is the blockchain allows things to be decentralized. So unlike everything with the internet and with the banking system now is centralized, so there's central sources of power. And so Bitcoin was designed to be decentralized, but the weak point is whenever we have to put our money onto the exchange, or whenever we have to turn it back into dollars. And so we always stress that you want to hold your money in your own account, you want to keep your own keys, etc. And when you leave money on the exchange, when you leave your coins on the exchange, you're vulnerable. The exchange could seize them, freeze them, be hacked, you could lose them, they could decide they don't want to release them to you. There's any number of things that could go on because you don't have them, they do. And so that's always the weak point. And so what the decentralized exchanges are offering is a way for users to exchange coins directly with one another without needing a third-party intermediary. That's the way the blockchain was supposed to be ran. That's what it's designed for. And so all the currencies are decentralized, and it just makes no sense to have the exchanges be centralized. It really makes no sense. So Poloniex, Bittrex, all those ones that we're using are all centralized, and it's always the weak point. And so what Bitshares is doing is it's a decentralized exchange, and it's going to allow us to exchange directly. And so it's a really, really big thing. And we need to see that happen. We need to see that adopted. And so there's a few projects that are out there that are doing this right now, but Bitshares is really the biggest one. It's got the most volume, and it's really leading the charge here. And so that's why it's important. And it gets a little bit bigger than that. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about some of the things and advantages that a decentralized exchange has. So like there's been a lot of problems with Poloniex. They limit how much you can withdraw. Things like that. But even bigger is like, let's look at like what's going on in China, right? So China wants to ban exchanges. They want to shut down exchanges. Well, just like Bitcoin, you can't shut down a decentralized exchange, right? You can't do it. That's the power of having the decentralized exchange like Bitshares is doing. But what they're doing is even bigger than that. So it's something that I haven't talked about a lot, but I'm going to be diving into deeper here, is that the future of money as we know it is going to be changed. And so what the blockchain is doing is it's allowing every asset to be tokenized. So that means extra hard drive space on my computer, extra bandwidth space, a real estate property, fine art, all those things become tokenized and fractionalized and become assets. And the blockchain allows us to assign assets and values to all these fractionalized things. We can put tokens on them and we can exchange them and trade them. Even things like airline miles, things like reward points, etc., all become assets that can be exchanged via the blockchain. Lots of companies are working on this. This is one reason why we really like Amizgo, OMG. This is what they're doing. But what Bitshares is doing is it's setting up a decentralized exchange to exchange these assets. So not just exchanging cryptocurrencies for one another, but exchanging tokenized assets such as real estate for airline miles, real estate tokens for fine art or for bandwidth. And I think the future of money as we know it will be changed by the blockchain. And that's what Bitshares is doing. I mean, it's a really, really important project, and I really believe in it. Those are the fundamental reasons why we own it. Again, we haven't delved real deep into it, and so I kind of wanted to share some of that information with you. Now, why did Bittrex delist Bitshares? At this point, it's rumors. It could be up to anyone's guess. A couple of the reasons is, first of all, Bitshares is in direct competition for Bittrex and Poloniex for that matter. Most of these exchanges that we're using, or all these exchanges that we're using, are all centralized, central sources of power. And so Bitshares is basically coming up with a better model to be a decentralized exchange. So they're definitely threatening their business. So that's one reason. Also, Bittrex said that they're running a 64 gigabyte node. But that's not true. They only run a 5, so they said, Bitshares said it's taking up too much room, but that's not true, so they're correcting that. Possibly could see it getting relisted, we don't know. Another reason is that maybe people bought it on Bitshares, they don't know where to store it, and so they're just selling it. But Bitshares is an exchange just like Bittrex, so you can just hold it on the Bitshares exchange, but a lot of people don't know that. So there's a couple reasons why it could be falling so fast just from having Bittrex delisted. I mean, Bittrex is only one exchange. It shouldn't have that big of an effect. But overall, the Bitshares project is awesome. Other updates that we've been seeing is that there's a payment gateway called Bitspark that's really going to be making a lot of noise, where basically all assets like gold and silver can be backed with digital currency and traded. And Bitspark is already moving millions on their payment gateway, and they're going to be moving it all from Bitcoin over to the Bitshares network because Bitshares network is so much faster. They can do 100,000 transactions per second. It's amazing. And so you know that the three themes that we really look for, that if any company can have at least one of these three themes, scalability, interoperability, and so scalability being one of them, so it has that. Other updates are that, and this is a really big one, is that I'm sure you've all heard about the SEC news. The SEC is saying that ICOs need to be regulated. ICOs are actually securities, like a stock, and they should be regulated like a security or like a stock. And so that's what's put a stop to a lot of the ICOs in the U.S. Now people in the U.S. aren't able to take part of the ICOs, and that's what's happening in China and Japan, is all the ICOs. And so what Bitshares is doing is they have a token called the TXSRB, and it's a clean token. And what that means is it's compliant with the SEC regulations for securities. And so as soon as the rules come down, they're coming. The SEC's already said they're going to be passing those rules. As soon as these rules come down, they're already ahead of the game. They already have this clean token. And then they have this tokens exchange. So then all the tokens that are launched on their exchange can be SEC compliant. And this is huge. We think that we're going to see a huge shift from ICOs being launched on the Ethereum network over to the Bitshares network, because they can offer an SEC compliant package. Now, they're not the only one working on this. Waves is also working on that. We've talked about that. But there's just a number of reasons why Bitshares is really good. So as I said, we're down about 50% on our position. I'm holding the position. If you have listened to what we said, you've kept your position sizes small. If you have your asset allocation strategy done properly, losing 50% on one position should not be a big problem for you. If you put an equal amount, that's asset allocation. Equal asset allocation is, you put 500 across all the trades, or 1,000 or $200 across all the trades. If you do that, and one of the trades or two of the trades or three of the trades go to zero, you only need one or two of the other trades to take off to still make a profit. The problem is when you're trying to pick and choose winners and say, well, I'm going to put it all on this one, or I'm going to go really big into this one and small into these, then you're not allocated properly, and so you'll take an abnormal loss. So make sure you're only putting in a little bit of money, you're only putting in what you can afford to lose, you're keeping your position sizes small, right? These are asymmetric bets. We're looking to turn 100 into 1,000 or 10,000. Keep your assets allocation even. So if one does go to zero, it doesn't really affect your overall portfolio, which could be the case with this. I don't believe so. I'm holding strong, and I'm probably going to be doubling down. I'm not exactly sure what point I'll be doing that, but I'll keep you updated on that. But I want you to understand what Bitshares is, what they're doing, and why this is happening, so you can believe in it as well. So I hope that helps. Feel free to go ahead and write any questions you have about this, and I'll be answering them in the thread. All right, thanks, guys.